Gracie, all this kale is coming out now. So what I thought is we would just give them a whole bunch today.
Give who?
All the people who are getting veg boxes. And all this is going to come out. We've got to plant something else here.
Why?
So we've got a busy schedule of vegetables. And there's still plenty to eat. Ooh! You love broccoli, don't you? Let's just give you this one.
Bouquet. Broccoli bouquet.
Aren't we so lucky to have so much good, yummy food here?
Bouquet. Broccoli bouquet.
Good. All right, I'm taking the kale up and I'm going to bunch it in the bags. But you know what's fun? They're already bunched. The Ridgedale's a 10-hectare farm. It's a typical small farm in Sweden that's been portioned off a much larger farm. But we wanted a certain amount of forestry, a certain amount of pasture land, and buildings in good condition. And we wanted to be relatively close to international transport because we anticipated people coming here. We knew that we wanted to run mostly enterprises based on perennial crops or pasture, because these are really the backbone of what we would define as regenerative agriculture, things that are soil building, things that produce super nutrient dense food that are good for sale locally. So what we have going on here currently is our main enterprises are pastured broilers and pastured eggs. And we have a market garden that we've scaled up this year. And all those enterprises are running over the top of silvo-pasture. That's all laid out on a keyline patterning. But we're specifically working with enterprises that integrate together, but could be run as sole enterprises. So every little enterprise here could be scaled up to produce a full family income, whether it's eggs, broilers, silvo-pasture, orchard systems, market gardens. But I've taken little pieces from many different farms and designers and sort of amalgamated and integrated the best of that here. We're really focused on scaling up permaculture to the farm. We're really focused on productive, profitable agriculture. But at the same time, of equal importance to us is an educational hub for people in Europe and further afield to learn about all aspects of regenerative agriculture, sort of creating the place that I was perhaps looking for on my learning journey. I'm looking for people who are driven by a desire to be of benefit. They're not thinking about this or that. They're stepping up to contribute in whatever way their gifts and strengths and talents allow them. Matthew posted a picture on Facebook of Jean Martin's book, The Market Gardener. Now, I was already in the middle of planning our market garden, so when I saw Matt post this book, and now I know Matt because I've led him through a PDC and an internship, so I know his character well enough that I'm not looking necessarily for very skilled people, because often you have to undo a whole load of thinking. I didn't really even think about it. I said, hey, if you want to learn about market gardening, come and be the market garden manager, and you're going to know more than anyone about market gardening at the end of the year.
I have no previous experience growing vegetables or knowing anything about them other than browsing through one book before I came here. I was thinking, you know, Richard's a smart guy and he's set up this farm, you know, it's 10 years plus effort in his life to get to where he is now. You know, there must be all these people that want to come as a market garden manager. Like, why is he asking me to do it? Is he crazy? I just had to accept the fact that he knows my strengths and my abilities. And so I trusted his decision-making in offering me that role, and I thought, I must have this potential that someone else sees that I don't necessarily see. So I kind of just went with it.
Is this all for one person?
No, each bunch is for the box, so it's going to be quite a big box full of all different things.
You're a good helper, Grace.
We've been growing vegetables just for our own needs, like we serve about 10,000 meals on the farm. This year we decided we would scale up and make a CSA, like a community-supported agriculture, where we sell boxes for the whole year in advance, just to minimise the risk starting up. And that's one of the benefits of having multiple enterprises here, is we can cover the setup costs and maybe make a bit of income, and then next year really understand the market. We sell everything within a 50-kilometre selling radius, not because we have to, but because we believe that other people should be setting up similar enterprises elsewhere. And went to Ag College for organic crop production. And I've never enjoyed vegetables since. I used to work like a dog and not get paid anything. But now we're finding really good ways to combine the best sort of market garden planning with a no-dig approach in a way that can really build up soil as well as produce super vibrant, healthy vegetables.
My ultimate peak of joy comes like in the middle of every week when all the veg boxes go out. It's like the first day of school. Like, you're kind of nervous and you don't know exactly how it's going to go, and it really feels great. Like when the truck leaves the farm with all the veg boxes, it feels like a real success again.
20 boxes in the car, 2 staying on the farm.
Woo! That's what I like! Yes!
Let's get them to the customers, yeah?
We are here.
Yeah, we're just gonna go left.
Keep going, yeah.
This is it.
Hey. Thank you. You're welcome. And here's that one.
Thank you.
So what do the customers say about the eggs?
They like them a lot.
Yeah?
They like the taste, they like they're so yellow. These have taste. And they're very yellow, the yolk is so yellow. Once you start with these, you're stuck.
So you want 24 for next time?
Yes.
Okay,
Perfect.
we'll do that. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Wow, we should totally be selling them organic carrots.
Yeah.
Beyond organic.
This was the...
We have the similar price.
Keep going straight.
Okay.
And then there will be another roundabout that we drive straight through.
Okay.
Ska du vara med och äta?
Han är inte hemma.
Nej, okej.
Vi
underbara grönsakerna.
kanske. Jag ska se vad det är.
Gurka, zucchini. Det här är en kinesisk kål, en kinakål.
Okej.
So we've set up a table here, and this is Elin. And customers come. We're here from 4:30 to 5:30 every Wednesday. This is the opportunity to meet customers. Some people like to come to the farm to pick up their boxes, but for the most part, this is where the most veg boxes are picked up each week.
Sallader också.
Så fick vi ta ner lite på fodret.
Du har gjort det redan?
Ja,
Och då beställde du dem, okej.
200 kronor.
Då ska du få tillbaka lite pengar då av oss.
Vad är det där då?
Det är broccoli.
Hennes favorit!
Alltså kolla på de här, hur ser
Hon äter inte broccoli, det är den enda jag äter.
tur för dig då.
Ja, jag får dem allihopa.
And you can notice people are really looking for this. Like they're saying, like, I want to know a farm where I can go and buy vegetables. Even though you're not a food nerd and you're not into permaculture or growing or whatever, once you come here and you can see where the vegetables that you're eating, where they come from, and that you can see someone with their hands in the soil. I think that's very powerful for anyone.
Beställa en grönsakslåda och då får man liksom en blandning av det allra bästa.
I don't have any farmers in the family and I don't have any real experience in farm life. So I feel like when I'm here, I'm pushing my limits in a very good way. I feel like my strengths and flaws are welcome here. Basically, it started out with just an interest in food. So I started out in the kitchen, which was an amazing experience to kind of put fuel in this whole machine. I really enjoyed it, but now I'm moving from the plate and backwards. So I'm going back and going more into the garden. More and more meals right now in the middle of the season, you can look at the plate and you know where everything is coming from. And there's actually walking distance there. And my respect of it is growing. And right now it's all about the herbs and drying them. Like in the age of antibiotics, we kind of don't need the herbs. How to treat ourselves and the sicknesses, but also just like maintaining health. Because you can notice if people get sick here, the system kind of collapses. It's ironic that today people are looking for the purpose of life. It's the irony of the spoiled generation, right? Time to dry. So what I feel like when I'm living on a farm is that I'm touching and I'm aware of everything that I depend on. Yeah, the food, the water, everything is it just adds value to everything. I hope that everyone will be able to get an experience like that.
And look in here. No, I'm not food. Do you want some water? Hey, you can go down. That one wanted to go back where it was. They're always very hot. They're always at least under one of these heat lamps. Can't you see that's very hot? Won't satisfy your hunger. This one really does it. So, the sperm from the male hen goes into the female hen, and then when the eggs are ready, they come out, and then she has them in a nest, and then when they're ready to hatch, they hatch, and the mummy hops off of them. And then they just follow her around until they're old enough to live on their own. They're gonna just grow up until they're old enough for us to eat because they're boilers.
The broiler operation we really enjoy because it's something that is easy for people to get their heads around. From brooding chicks to managing field pens to building the infrastructure needed to showing people how to build a on-farm slaughtery and how to then process and package and market chickens. It's kind of a whole package that someone can get their head around in a number of weeks. We're currently producing 3,000 broilers. We'll scale that up to 5,000 next year. And that makes about 30,000 euros profit, and that's wholesaling most of our birds. But we've chosen that enterprise specifically because we are looking to invest in enterprises that cover their costs immediately in the first year and then give us profit. That's super important when you're starting up a farm. You don't have money. A farm is a place where you can just throw money everywhere and it swallows it up and it keeps swallowing it up. We're trying to optimize every station so that they all work in unison, but also trying to teach people how to do it at the same time, which takes a lot of time, obviously. But the birds are coming in very fast today, no faster than we can keep up. Like for me and for the clean team, we wouldn't be able to keep up with that, so it's just slowing down a bit.
The A1s are the good ones, the best ones. Yeah, it doesn't have any cuts, doesn't have any bruises, they just look clean, have no feathers. Bees, minimal feathers. Bees might have a little cut somewhere, but it looks alright. It's not big. Or they have a little bruise, they have a different color. And the Czech ones are like, because they change overnight when they're in the cool room, like the color might change or they touch another bird, and yeah, so we just make sure we check the next day if it's still the same grade or if the grade has changed.
In our case, we're not trying to maximize the income from all of our enterprises because we don't need that big surplus of money. What we're trying to create is a nice balance that pays our debts off in our business plan, but also creates the maximum functionality between the different enterprises we have. For example, with the laying hens, their ecosystem services are far greater than with the broilers, who are just essentially a fertilizer input. So they're less profitable and take more time, but their ecosystem services are far greater and they really fit our context. So we have that flexibility to decide where to scale up or draw back on an enterprise according to not only the finances, but the ecological impact and the social aspects of what customers actually want to buy. So we have now 700 birds in 2 eggmobiles, and we've designed those around the limitations of what an ATV can pull. So you have to start with working out what's physically practical and working backwards mathematically to work out what you can actually run. We wanted to regenerate grass, but we have 4 hectares of pasture here. So running ruminants like sheep and cows, it's not enough grass to support enough animals to have a beneficial impact, or like enough beneficial impact to really do that job. Whereas the chickens bring their scarification as well as their fertilization, And we can have those in relative density that they have an incredible impact on the grass. And we've seen that already in the 2 years we've been running them for 6 months on pasture. It's amazing what the power of chicken is. And this year we have Agnes running field surveys to really understand what are we working with and where do we want to go with that, so that we can really track the changes over time. And we do that for 2 reasons. One is that we're a kind of demonstration site, so we feel like, hey, we just lifted our responsibility a bit. We have to actually demonstrate what we're doing. But also it allows us to really hone our management down. So our grazing planning is designed specifically to lead us where we want to go, which is carbon being stored in the soil and nutrient cycling, water cycling, pumping again, and increasing the biomass and forage quality of the farm.
So the first thing I look at is coverage. So I just look through, and sometimes I'm doing how much greens, how much thatch it is. I also got to figure out when the last impact was and from what animals. Buttercup, lady's mantle, some white clover. What I'm learning here at Ridgedale is like I'm looking at this grass. Every week it's the same grass. But by looking at it every week and you see those little changes, man, that's traveling. That's the interesting bit. You know, I grew up in a city. My parents grew up in cities. And I still haven't really convinced them that it's actually my goal to make a living off the land, and that might not bring heaps of money, I'm not sure, but it will bring the quality of life to me that I want, and that might be enough for me. I'm looking forward to the day when I can explain to them and to other people how to do it. The first week was really difficult because I'm not good with species at all. Like I've never looked at species. I've looked at grasses as feed for animals. You realize how many different small species there are, or how diverse it is. So I'm cutting with my super blunt knife. Get another one later. Yeah. Put in my little bag, and I'm gonna weigh it and see how much it weighs when it's wet. In this little 50 by 50 quadrant.
You kind of work into this triple bottom line where it must benefit you, the farmer, and it must benefit you economically. It must benefit the consumer. We've got to have happy returning customers who value the quality and freshness of our produce. But it must be benefiting the land and the soil. And those 3 legs to a stool, as it were, must be in place for it to remain stable long term.
Are you scared to do them when they peck you?
With this many hens, you can turn over maybe 15,000 euros a year. It's 12 tons of eggs. And we prioritize selling our produce at what we would like to think is an affordable rate. We could charge more for our produce, but we want this food to be affordable to people. We want this to be the sort of normal food, as it were.
No, you can leave them here.
We can leave the cart there and I come back.
Yeah, one element of permaculture design that's probably quite familiar for people is this idea of stacking production on multiple layers, like this idea of forest gardening. On a farm, we don't really use that as an approach for tree crops. We're working with agroforestry systems, be it silvo-pasture or silvo-arable systems primarily. And we've installed keyline systems at the farm. So keyline works to optimize water distribution in the landscape, and it works by creating patterns of parallel lines in the landscape.
That's lucky it was that one. You can break that one anytime.
And that works very well with our pastured boilers and mobile fencing that we use for all our different animals, because everything is always the same width apart. So it's very practical. Same would be the case if we were doing arable crops in between, because obviously fixed width machinery needs parallel lines to move within. In our climate here, we can have up to 30% canopy cover from trees in our pasture without any loss in pasture yield, whilst creating windbreak, could be creating forage crops, could be creating fruit and berry crops, biomass to put in a wood chip boiler or whatever it is. And so we see the integration of tree crops into farm systems as fundamental. I haven't personally been to a farm that I've felt couldn't benefit from more tree systems.
How nice is that? Very quite nice. Maybe I'll take my bucket. I put my bucket.
You mean like to get the whole little...
To get the whole little thing off?
Yeah.
So I hold them all.
We're up at 59.6 degrees latitude, so we only have about 30 species of tree we can work with in our climate. But we've got arrangements of apple, pear, plum, cherry, raspberry, blackcurrant, whitecurrant, redcurrant, gooseberry, hascap, hazel, and we're doing experiments with breeding chestnuts and walnuts to find the ones that will fruit at this latitude. And that's a personal sort of pet project of mine, to bequeath my daughter with a chestnut that fruits up here in the far north.
Gooseberries.
Try this one. These are called Hinnamaki Red. And they're a variety from Finland.
How about, is this one good?
I'll go for the reddest one. Oh, look at this one for you. Tell me if that is sweet.
Still not as sweet, but still very sweet.
It's now mid-July, so we've got gooseberries and blackcurrants and raspberries coming in, and it's surprising how little space these sort of crops take up. So in this field, we're in top field, we have apple, pear, plum, cherry with hazels in between, with different assemblies of currants on the front. So the idea is that we can act as like a little ramp where everything gets sunlight. So these trees were planted the first week we actually moved into the farm, and we just kind of walked away from them. But we've got about 1.5 kilometers of tree lanes that are 1.8 meters wide. And just in front field and top field here, that's, if you take a low yield estimate, there's 70,000–80,000 euros of crops just sitting up above our pasture. Most farmers aren't interested in trees in their pasture or annual crop systems because they feel they get in the way. But if they're intelligently designed, they're not in the way at all. I talk to a lot of people in a lot of places, and one pattern I see is that most farmers tell their kids, hey, go get a real job. And farming's not valued in the same way as it was in the past. But also, I think that if you've trashed your soil and depleted your nutrient reserves and damaged the water cycle and destroyed the habitat, then what are you really bequeathing your children with? But if I can turn around to my son and daughter and say, hey, look at what we did to the topsoil here, and look at all these creatures that have moved into the farm whilst we're producing all this produce, and look at the quality of life you can have here. And hey, you can earn as much as you could in Stockholm working in some job that you didn't really believe in. There's more incentive to stay around.
See how hungry they are?
Do you starve them?
No, we don't starve them. They get fed 3 times a day, just like you. But you know how hungry you get before lunch sometimes. Yeah, they're just like that. I don't think a lot of farmers intend to cause harm. I think they just do what everyone else is doing. But the conscious design of permaculture makes you sit down and go, hey, what do I actually want? What do I actually value? And run all of your decisions through that. Systems thinking or managing holistically always brings us back to why we're doing things and what we're managing for and what we actually want to get out of things, instead of just getting drawn into the details in front of you and forgetting what the big picture is, which sometimes leads to very different decisions. I watched all of my friends at university get really involved in campaigning. Even though I was just as passionate about the issues as they were, I never quite felt comfortable with that way of going about changing things, and I didn't know why. Campaign-based organizing still leaves the power in someone else's hands. It leaves people without sovereignty, without the right to self-determination. And that's why it felt really awkward for me, because it was still asking someone else to give us what we thought we deserved in the first place. Instead of asking for permission, you just do it yourself. And part of the doing it yourself is making sure that you have the basic, like earth care and people care systems in place. So it's like, hey, actually, if we know how to organize ourselves as a community, or if we know how to coordinate, if we can grow food for ourselves, we are a lot stronger in making decisions for ourselves than if we're dependent on a state or a global economic system to provide for our most basic needs.
Ideally, prepping all the beds so that they can sit over winter as no-dig beds. That means car park is turning into vegetable plots. Pretty much all of it.
Everyone else hates meetings, but I really like them. I like it when there's tension and we have a common problem and we have to work through it, which I think it's one of the things that Richard kind of likes, throwing people together from all over the world and then seeing what happens, knowing that we might learn a lot more from each other than we ever do from him.
If there's a preference that there's a name on it, then we can do that too.
It might be nice to just change the way we work together a bit, just for fun. Yeah. Have some more group.
It's really amazing, the community here, because we are a bunch of young people who are all interested in some parts of the regenerative agricultural movement, if you can say it so. So when we come together, we are exactly what I'm interested in the regenerative movement. But we haven't chosen each other because we are good friends, or that, you know, we have something in common, and that's agriculture, and that's why we are living together. agriculture is, to me, it's the root of our society. But we, as a society, are moving away from agriculture. We are all just moving to the cities and all very dependent on very few people in the world growing our food. I think getting closer to some of those basic things in our life would help with many of the things we are facing. Then there's the other aspect of it. There's more like the practical stuff of it, what we can actually do, how we can sequester carbon and get it out of the atmosphere and back in the soil where it belongs.
So we see a great oak tree in the forest, and it seems very stationary, nothing's really happening. But fluid is moving up that trunk at the rate of 1 meter a minute to be able to supply these hundreds of thousands of leaves with the minute amount of moisture they need for respiration. But what's really surprising to most people is that a ryegrass in full photosynthesis, liquid can be moving through its roots at a rate of 25 centimeters a second. And it's that movement that makes grasses so potent in their ability to capture sunlight and puts carbon into the topsoil. We have all these belief and intelligent people focused on finding technologies to deal with the excess carbon in our atmosphere when we have food shortages and grasslands that are being subsidized to be cut rather than running animals. And in Sweden we import meat from all over the world when we could be running very bountiful regenerative enterprises that make good livings for a farmer and build topsoil and serve customers very local, very fresh food. The laws of fluid dynamics. That's what people should study. We have nearly 2 hectares of spruce that's worth maybe 15,000 euros wholesale at this age, 90 years, 70, 90 years. And that's a 70 to 90 year cropping cycle. So when you work out the value per square meter, and when you balance that with the devastation that goes on with monocultural clear cutting, you know, on vast hectareages around here, and the impact that has on the hydrological cycle, it looks much better to rent this treehouse out 2 weeks of the year, and that's more profitable, and we can keep the forest intact, and that will pay for us to transition this over to a natural broadleaf mixed species forest again, which is what is popping up. We've got rowan, oaks, alder, elder. It's not just a rental tourism thing. It's, hey, you're coming to stay at the farm and you're going to eat fresh food from the farm with us, and you're going to meet all these people who know a lot about these things, and they can inform your kids what's going on and share with you the processes at work here.
me, Ridgedale is a very big resource for creativity and learning how to find good solutions for whatever comes up every day. For me, the biggest challenge here, or the biggest change here, was transforming my view from, oh, there's all these problems and these people are doing this wrong and this is not going well, to, hey, what am I going to do about it? And asking myself, hey, what is the solution for this, and can I be proactive and change it? I think that's something that was one of the biggest learnings here. And it's interesting that it's not actually connected to any land-based thing. It's more like changing my perspective on my everyday challenges in a way.
The things that really turn people on to regenerative agriculture movement are usually things like integrated animal systems, or starting a market garden, or this lovely idea of design process. But really what makes a farm work is partly planning, decision making, and most of it boils down to that grunt, that desire to just get whatever needs doing done. You know, how do you keep motivated when it's pouring with rain and it's 7 in the evening and you haven't had dinner that night? They're the things that really make it happen.
What scares people is that there's so much different types of work. So you cannot be in full control of everything. And when you're not in full control of everything, that's when it's like scary. And you're like, oh, I need to do this and this and this and this. But I think it's really the key, like that thing of wanting to be in control and understanding everything. If you let go of that and just learn and listen, that's when that's when it becomes fun to do different stuff every day.
Things day to day might look like they're not super smooth, but when you look at it as a whole, everything gets accomplished. Like just deciding to build this slaughtery and start processing broilers, and people who aren't experienced who are here are kind of thinking like, well, is that going to work? Is that going to work? And it's absolutely working. And yesterday we, slaughtered and processed 150 chickens in record time. And to see the doubling of the size of the hens, and to just start a market garden just out of nowhere, 120 beds, and it's very inspiring. You don't need to spend 5-10 years planning what to do. You need to have a desire to go for it, be willing to make mistakes and be confident enough to plan not to make those mistakes, I guess.
The first year I was a little bit shocked maybe about how much work it was. When I think about it, it was so crazy, the first year to get into all these things. Also for me, the regulations, because I'm the Swedish representative here. So I realized I have this responsibility that I need to find out these things, and I need to interpret them and tell them on. It was very difficult to find information about how to do it in this scale, because the investment for us needed to make sense in relation to the income we are creating with this, so we cannot look at the big places and copy their models. We couldn't find a manual, and we couldn't even call to authorities to ask, how do you do this? They would not know. Everyone is so specialized on their particular little part, so they cannot give you an overview about, nobody can.
It doesn't even look like a farm to a lot of people. Someone from the council came the other day and was like, I don't know how to classify this land. Is it a garden? Is it a farm? Is it this type of farm? She'll come back another day to bring someone else to help her figure out what it is.
We read all the laws and tried to interpret that and make it as simple as possible, but in the same time we just keep the standard really high, especially with the slaughtery. We are above their expectations in many ways. So this is part of that control program to do the salmonella testing, but this lady here is a veterinarian and she comes to do the testing on the birds. So we have 2 egg mobiles with chickens where we have layers. So they live in a mobile house that we move daily. Yeah. When we come from outside and buy a place that nobody would believe could be of any value and actually manage to make a living, that's, I think people find quite impressive. So they get curious, even if they were not really interested in these concepts of organic, and I think that really talks to people. And also it connects very much with the older generations, because all of them have a nostalgia about, like, they knew when they were young, these whole neighborhoods were filled with life and activity, and now it's just empty fields.
I remember when we first came here, people found it quite strange. There were 20 of us here, and we were out planting trees and doing work. And hey, these people are doing something interesting. They're doing something a bit different, and they're really working hard. And hard work is respected here, you know? People see that we're investing money and working hard, and somewhere deep down that they respect that a lot. And more people are curious about, like, so why do you do like that? And how's that thing going? The reason we wanted to make hay like that was A, to just have some experience with that. You don't know anything about it till you've done it. It does make much better hay, and it allows you to make hay when it's raining. But also, like, that type of haymaking was very common till the 1980s. So everyone living around here remembers that in their fields. And whilst they might find it a little bit crazy to see all these folks out in the field doing it by hand, cutting with scythes and laying hay by hand, I bet that tickled their hearts in some way, you know? People used to come together on the land, and they would probably have big tables in the field, and all the housewives would make beautiful dinners, and everyone would sit together and talk. And this doesn't happen anymore. I don't know if you've walked out on outside the farm, but you don't see anyone on the street or in the fields.
Dried all this in the field. You've been turning it around for like several times. Then all the mechanical disturbance would just have been blending all these leaves. And you would just have this stem here. Who wanted that?
That half's mine. That half's yours.
You got more than me.
Just in time. It doesn't matter to be a second late because food's not served right now, is it? I think it's okay.
Yeah?
Because it's the last.
It's perfect, no?
Breakfast time.
Oh, va bene. Oh, va bene, va bene.
It's a special moment, the meal. Like here we have meals all together, so it's really the Italian style, all in the same table or looking at each other, talking about what's going on and what's not. And the mood can be really changed by what you eat. So it is really natural to put a lot of love in
I'm not
in
sure
the
if that
food.
was a good combination.
We're a bit like a family, so that's why
So we did like a
I feel like a
frugal
mom.
spiral banana circle-y thing, and
Surrounded
that's
by
the
a swirl.
first banana, and so
What about the mandala?
Matt's eating it.
And yesterday we had our mango sorbet.
Yeah, we made
Out of our
mango sorbet.
from our mango trees of the greenhouse.
Yeah, that's a mandala planting, like typical kind of 85 species of ground cover.
The berries here are fantastic. You can find them everywhere. Blueberries, raspberries everywhere. Yeah, you have to explore, and when you find spots, you stuck with them, and you're gonna get a lot from nature, always. These high standards and this education that brings me to think that maybe I have to buy stuff to do and work for, and no, it's not like that. It's really more simple in many, many ways. It's simple and it's enjoyable also. Like work hard can be really enjoyable if you do it for a purpose, and if you do it in the right way also. It's like this feeling of being part of it all. Like I'm actually part of this world. What in Milan was different too. It was difficult to feel like it because I was part of the city. I was part of the human race, let's say, and what it created. I find it difficult to explain to my friends what I was doing because it was so distant to what I always been taught to do, and we're not doing hippie stuff. It's more about achieving something and trying to be more free and have more free time to do what you like. It's also to create a better world, let's say, but it's also to live a good life. That's the goal, I think. I like the approach here because it's really based on reality. Like it's a huge reality check. They're really trying to work for a living of it. It's not like doing fancy stuff. My expectations were really high, and I have to say that from my point of view, I'm a bit disappointed because this works because there's people working for free. It's interesting, but I don't think it's real from many points of view. Like, it doesn't really apply to the real world, people working for free.
Most of the food that fills our shops and stores is produced by excessive oil and oil products, or usually cheap foreign labor. Now, we do get free labor, however, it wouldn't meet my objectives in terms of paying a skilled laborer. And there are very few people who are actually skilled enough that I would want to employ. And I mean that in a challenging way, in a, hey, you know, how do you get skilled up and proficient that you could be useful as an employee? And that's something we do here. We take on people for our internship programs, and if they deliver and perform, we take them on as farm managers. And if they really show us that they're capable of managing something, then we'll offer them a job. I would personally like to see us moving towards employees with educational roles supporting that, where people can really check in their own experience if they're capable of making it work. But the future of agriculture surely has a lot more people on the ground.
Yeah, but Richard is here, so there's nothing to do with the layers in the morning. It's just, it sounds, I mean, if you want to do... We all chose to be here. The interns who paid chose to be here. The experience that I'm getting here, I can't get that anywhere else. I can't call someone up and say, I heard you're starting a market garden. I've been driving a truck for the last year. Do you mind if I come and manage your CSA by myself? Last time I saw someone...
I think one of the most challenging things was when I realized that I can't find any place in the world where I can go and learn how I can do things on my farm, because I just have to go and do it myself. So when I came here and it wasn't exactly how I was dreaming about it was, I got a bit disappointed for a few days, maybe a week or two. And then I got up one morning and I was like, oh yeah, that's just how it is, because I just have to go and do it myself at some point. So I'll do that.
Ah, pulling weeds. It's so satisfying, no?
Kind of, yeah.
You know, when you get the root out in the first pull.
Yeah, it's like...
Like my family is a bit like, why are you there? Like, you're not even getting paid. And like, I have to explain to them that I'm getting paid in something else, I guess. People pay a lot of money to get education, and I think and like physical labor is like taboo. It's like as you do something with your body and you work, and like this practical part, that's labor. You're not making a living while you're here, but you're getting the tools here that makes it possible for you to go make a living. Young people like me, you need to know that you can make a living from it. Many other farms, lovely farms, but like it's a lot of ideals and like visions and like how you want to live and what you value and just like, and that's wonderful, you know. But if you can't make a living from it, then it's not happening.
To find a long-term project, this is what I wanted, to work the earth. That led me to different community farm projects. But what I found in those projects was the community part was taking a lot of energy and time, and we were not doing so much. So when I met Richard, and I felt he had a very clear plan and amazing abilities to actually put it in action, really, I felt, wow, I want to be part of this.
You know, if I say hierarchy, a lot of people have a negative connotation with that. But hierarchy is fundamental to life. Nature is made up in the same way, in my experience, that everything has to contribute to the whole for the whole to thrive. There's not a single piece that can be removed without affecting that whole. For me, like, that's our default patterning. Like, if I look at nature, I see everything is looking after its own needs in the service of all. Like, everything is patterned to be a benefit to the whole, but not without taking care of its own needs first. So I've kind of thrown out all these old contrived ways of doing community building because I feel like it's so natural in us, we don't need to contrive that, really. And it's obvious what you could do to be of benefit right now. So we just try and relax into that and not prescribe a way of doing things for people. One minute I'm looking in microscopes at soil organisms, the next minute I'm building a plumbing system, then I'm gutting chickens, and then I'm making compost, and then I'm planting tree systems, and there's no end. I feel like a big kid. I feel like I learn more than any learning institution on the planet could teach me. You know, there is no work. Work and play and rest and learning, they're all one just fun thing called life.
Some days it can feel like work for sure. That's what it is. I mean, it's never gonna not be repetitive work. That's why it's super simple and totally doable. But from that, you're producing food, you're creating all these different points of beneficial effect. Yeah, like flipping compost, it's super boring, but it's the end product is my mindset or where I view. Whereas like moving a fence can be totally boring or it can be very exciting for me. Or fulfilling, I wouldn't say exciting. Riding bikes is more exciting. I'm doing this so when I am on my deathbed and I possibly have children or grandchildren, I can be like, hey, I was aware of like this global system crash and I actively, consciously did my part in what I was best educated to do in my attempts to sequester some carbon while preserving ecological diversity. It's a conscious choice of working towards that.
We brought the grass from the field.
Oh, is the wind blowing us? Is this the wind?
No, I got the motor.
Why do you have one hole you're not using?
Well, they're both broken.
Oh, nice. Pretty. Oh, there's another one over there. Right there. I could have picked that lily. Ah!
It's my idea of how I'd like a kid to grow up. I mean, the reason I got into all this when I was maybe 15 years old, I started getting clear that I wanted to live on land, was because I would like to raise a kid like that. That's kind of been a root foundation for the whole thing. That was a long time ago I got clear about that. See if your grubber's still there. No, the grubber's gone, so you have to find a worm now. Maybe a worm's going to work better. I feel like that's so natural in all of us, but it gets dampened out and patterned out by teachers, mother and father, friends, social pressures, all that stuff. But with Gracie, she's brought up in a way where she's just living very spontaneously and very empowered to get into anything she wants, as long as she's coming in a respectful manner that is of benefit. It's like, it doesn't matter what she wants to focus on. We're not trying to steer her curiosity to look a particular way. It's like, just let it rip wide open, you know.
Is it a living thing? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So then we'll take that, and you put the worms down carefully. And we're going to pierce that, and you might wriggle it.
Why?
And then what we should do, shall I help you cast?
Yeah.
Out to the reeds, and then do you remember what you have to do?
Yeah.
What are you watching for?
Bait going bubble.
The little float. Who's going to catch the fish first?
Don't know.
When do you ever know?
You don't.
I think the more we include kids in an adult way and in decision making, the more they take responsibility. Gracie is old enough to be included in our holistic context and our decision making about her future. She's very capable of making very responsible decisions and following them through and being supported to follow them through. I think we forget how our experience was as a kid often. You have to watch, because if you see a little, if the fish starts getting interested, it will go nibble, nibble.
No, I'm not. It's actually.
Okay, don't let go. Yeah. Good one. Let's get him into the boat.
Does that make them die?
Yeah, because
Oh, really slimy.
it's slimy. It can be easy to grip them with this. You see, it's a bit of grip.
It's really squishy. Is he a brown trout? Like, it's so slimy. It's so hard to hold him.
She's kind of like this little representation of the future here on the farm. And to see her hold her 1-month-old baby brother and be comfortable with the animals and comfortable in the gardening and harvesting and making comments that are intelligent that most, I mean, I think she's not even 6 yet, actually.
They're so soft.
I feel like she's really understanding the connections between all these things, and she knows very, very clearly what she's interested in or what she wants to explore, and that is something that I found very valuable in this relationship, like with Gracie, and just being able to talk to her as if she was an adult, because I don't think there should be any big difference in the way we communicate.
If she's a representation of the future, then we're good. We're good to go.
Barnyard blue.
Yeah.